Once more, welcome everybody to the August edition of FACEYOUth Monthly Mental Health Awareness and Stigma Reduction Seminar. It is my honor to present to you today this topic. The theme of today is hidden struggles, spotting signs of drug use in youth and how substance use impacts young mind. We all know that we celebrated Youth Day, or United Nations Youth Day, on the 12th of August. And although the theme of this year's theme is entirely different from what we are discussing, I thought that it's very important that we keep raising awareness about substance use, right? So as you all know, so many of you know me already, but for those who don't, my name is Ife Anyebu, and I'm the founder and the convener for FACEYOUth, which is the foundation, acronym for the Foundation for Advancement of Child Education and Youth Empowerment. FACEYOUth is a grassroots-inspired charitable organization committed to improving the lives of disadvantaged children and youth in Scotland and abroad through various initiatives, from organizing mental health awareness seminar, the type that we are in right now, to organizing holiday club and weekly clubs for young children and other youth empowerment initiatives. We're going to play a short video, and if you can listen to the short video before I bring in the amazing speaker for today, who will take us through discussing the theme. So at FACEYOUth, we'd like to see everyone here as a family. So whatever we discuss here, we want people to be open-minded, to be free to talk about or ask any questions. If you don't have any answer to your question, we are going to take it to, we have so many professionals that support us in our organization. We have Dr. Chudi as one of our board members. I don't know if he's here today. If he's not, he's still going to join us because he said he will join today. So we want you to share with your contacts and ask them to join, because we want to impact as many people as possible. Yeah. Please, can you play the video? Yeah. I think I actually have it. I can play it from here. I'll place it. No, I'm not happy.
Williams, actually, a website designer and developer. I volunteer at FACEYOUth as the IT manager, lending a helping hand to the needy and helping young people realize and utilize their potential means a lot to me, and I'm happy to be part of an organization that does that very well. That's my
Okay.
inspiration to
We
past 17 months of volunteering.
We'll just bring up Tega to do the presentation. We'll do the video about FACEYOUth later. So I'll do a brief intro. I don't have my glasses, so you bear with me. Tega Omoga is a visionary who is extremely passionate about the next generation and a burning passion for behavioral change. She's an author, a transformational speaker, an NLP practitioner, an anger management and emotional intelligence certified coach, and a substance abuse counselor and interventionist, a mental health practitioner and teens mentor who uses her past experiences to help mold every youth she comes in contact with so they don't toe the path she did. She attended Ahmed Bello University and is currently studying guidance and counseling in the University of Abuja. She's a certified therapist with the US-based TMFA group. She is a SOBCA certified mental health first aider and a certified graduate of Transformers Leadership Academy, a graduate of prestigious Rema Bible Training Center. I don't think I'm going to read all the profile. Many of us already know Tega because we have had the pleasure of, engaging her with our program. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up Tega Omogo, a friend and a sister, to speak to us today about the theme of our seminar today. The floor is yours, Tega.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Tega. I was going to beg her not to read the bio, but it's okay. It's always a pleasure to be on FACEYOUth. For me, like I've told her before, when you need me, just tell me, be available at this time, and I need you there, and I will show up, because it's just amazing what she does. It's a beautiful thing, and I just took to her from the very first time I met her. So you guys help me appreciate her, because what she's doing is a lot. I have a foundation as well, and I know how tasking this can be. Every month, month in, month out, she's getting people to, put these messages out. And it's very important, because education and awareness are one of the things that will help us as a people to be able to get rid of, the stigma, understand how addiction works, understand mental health. So education and awareness is so important. So what she's doing is really amazing. I really appreciate you. God bless you. So I'm talking about, today we're going to be talking about the hidden struggles. Many people just see the addiction, but nobody actually sees the pain of the human being that is addicted. That's why they tell people to have a bit of empathy when it has to do with a drug use victim. We judge them too harshly. And that's why many of them don't even come out to speak about their struggles. So in this presentation, we're going to be talking about understanding drug use and its effects on young minds, of course, the importance of recognizing the signs of drug use early, because like in all chronic diseases or any disease at all, early prevention is healthier, is better. Early detection, sorry. So when you detect it early, it is easier to prevent long-term harm. Like if you know anybody that is diabetic, if in the beginning it's just elevated blood sugar levels, they can deal with it quickly before it becomes full-blown diabetes. So early detection is very important. So understanding drug use. Why do people use drugs? We all know that what drugs, the definition of drug use is, but let me just say that, let me use the word addiction. Addiction is when a person is doing, compulsive use of a substance that can alter your mind despite its negative consequences. The most important terms here are compulsive use. It's a chronic brain relapsing disease that is characterized by compulsive use despite its negative consequences. You know how much we say, oh, diabetes is a chronic disease. This is also a chronic brain disease. It's not. In the beginning, we all think it's a moral failing. Oh, that one, and it's because of this and that. It might start out as a moral failing, but it doesn't end up as a moral failing. The person is in a dark hole. I can tell you this. You may be wondering why I'll be able to say the person in a dark hole. I've been there, addicted for 13 years. So I understand how a person can be in a hole. The person is desperate. You can't see any light. You can't see any form of help, but you can't get out. And many people, in other ways, I've noticed that one thing that people are quick to judge the drug use victim, but we all, in one way or the other, are addicted to one thing or the other. Many of us are addicted to our phones. People are addicted to carbohydrates. Some people, they tell you, you need to lose weight. You have a mental, you have a physical ailment, but they will not stop eating that thing that is a problem. They will not stop drinking the soda that is a problem. They won't be able to eat right. Because we all know if you are allergic to something, why do you keep eating it? It's because your brain has been accustomed to eating that thing, and your brain is addicted to that food. Forget it. So there is no difference really, or the difference between a drug use victim and someone who's addicted to carbohydrates or certain meals that will put them in a health condition, and they're still eating it. The difference is very slim. One is because it's socially accepted or is not noticeable. The other one is because it is illegal substances. But hey, 6 and half a dozen. Why do people use drugs? One of the reasons that people use drugs is because the majority reason why people use drugs is because they're trying to escape a reality. They're trying to escape their pain. So it can be trauma that they're trying to escape, because nobody wants to be in that kind of place and then be proud of it. So most times it's because they're trying to escape from something. It is a form of pain. It's like an inner pain. It's an inner injury. Some people have emotional turmoil. You don't know how to get out of it. You probably started out experimenting and then it escalated from there. And then you became a binge user or you became a frequent user. After a while, you became full-blown dependence. Whatever the reason is that somebody started, nobody started out wanting to be a drug use victim. It's important that we know this. Very, very important. So how do you spot the signs of drug use? There are major ways, and it comprises of physical signs, behavioral signs, and emotional signs. Physical signs, you can see changes in appearance. Not long ago, there's someone I was working with as a therapist, and then her mother told me that she had that something is off. She doesn't know what's going on with her. And I said, okay, I'll pass by the house on my way to the office. And when I got to the house, when I saw her, I told her mother, I said, your mother was saying, oh, I need to make some money. I told her, let's get her into a facility. She said, well, I need to get some money. I don't have money to do that now. One thing, maybe next week or in 2 weeks. This is the thing that people, always try to push back. Oh, it's not that deep. It's okay. But it's very deep. So that day I walked into the house. I looked at the girl and I said, we don't have 1 week. I'm sorry. She said, how can you say we don't have 1 week? I said, I'm telling you with my full chest that we don't have 1 week. Because I got into the girl's room. I saw how dirty the place was. I saw how she looked. Her whole hair. She had started looking like someone that was already dealing with psychosis because she had started taking Colorado. That's the street name for the variant of marijuana that she was taking. In fact, some people call it colos. There are some Nigerians in the house, you know what I mean by that. So physical appearances, when I saw her, I understood poor hygiene. Her hair was a mess. She could barely comb it. It was full. It was thick. She looked like someone that was roaming the street. The only difference was that she was in the house and she was already acting erratic. We'll come to all of that. So there are changes in appearances. There is poor hygiene, unexplained weight loss. Hers was really bad. She looked like a shadow of herself. Changes in health. Some people start having nosebleeds, unexplained injuries, tremors. I noticed that she couldn't look me in the eye because, her eyes were shifty and she was shaking. I knew that something. I told her mom, I said, we don't have time. Another thing is behavioral signs. There are sudden changes in behavior, mood swings, secrecy, withdrawal from family and friends. Sometimes they become aggressive. And this is what this girl was already showing up that morning. She was becoming really aggressive. She went to meet her mom. Why did you invite her here? This is me who she loved so much and always wanted to be around me. She would come to the office, we'll sit together, I'll buy pizza, she will eat and all of that. All of a sudden she was angry because she didn't want to deal with the fact that she felt like she had relapsed and she had failed me. And I told her, I said, you didn't fail me. You didn't fail me. I understand your struggle. And so there are sudden behavior and changes in behavior, changes in school performance. When you see that there's a decline in academic performance, you need to look a bit closer. When you see that there's a bit of truancy, you need to know that, oh, what's going on here? Why are you skipping school? And the only way you will know why a child is skipping school is if you pay attention to their grades and if you go to school and see what's going on, or if they are working in an office, you realize that they don't go to work anymore. Now they're spending less time at work, and then you don't know unexplained absences. Those are behavioral signs. Then emotional signs, you see irritability, depression, anxiety, a lack of interest in activities they once enjoyed. And another sign is when they start to change friends. When all of a sudden, this new set of friends, you don't understand who they are. These friends are acting shady, because you will know, you will tell that something is off with these people. Another thing is when you find that they are changing gadgets. They had a phone today, tomorrow they don't have. They bought another one, the next thing they say someone stole it, or so something happened. Most times they are trading their mobiles for the drugs. When you also see that things in the house are getting lost, maybe you put an AC. I know a father who changed all the AC air conditioners in his house. He put them in the store. And then we were telling him, why don't you sell these things? Sell them or give them out. He said, leave them there. So that when this boy wants to steal something to go and sell, let him find those ACs. Let him not come and take the one inside the house. So things start to get missing. Unexplained missing items. Another boy I know, we can't even find that one. We're looking for him so I can raise money for his rehabilitation. I will open my rehab soon. However, before then, we have people that can't afford it. And so we find ways of raising money to get them in. This boy was stealing sockets. That's the electrical sockets where you plug your charger to charge your phone. He would went and losing the sink in his mother's kitchen. So when I called his dad and said, look, I have your son with me and this is what's going on. We need to try and raise money for it. The man said, well, I don't care about this boy. If he dies, I'd like to know where his grave is so that I'm sure. Those are the things that we have to deal with as counselors and as therapists, because people don't understand. That's why I wish that more people would come for a session like this, because to open your eyes to the things that these people are struggling with. How does drug use impact young minds? There are social and emotional effects. Drug use can lead to strained relationships. When you are using substance, you avoid the people who want to help you. You don't want them to find out what you're doing. For the longest time, I did drugs for 13 years. And trust me, I'm the youngest of 8. And I had my parents. Nobody knew in those 13 years until I was on a TV show. And that's how I was found out. So drug use can lead to strained relationships with family and friends. I was avoiding them. I was the one avoiding them. At one point, someone had hinted my sister. She came to my house, and she was saying, I said, it's a lie. The person is lying. And then after that, I gave them a bit of space. I was really offended, but I was offended at what? That they were coming to come and rescue me, because it was an intervention that was staged. So there's also potential for isolation, loss of interest in hobbies, overall changes in personality, because even the people that know you will not be able to recognize you at the time, or you will not be able to recognize your child at the time. Some of the effects on brain development. One of the reasons for some people, if you notice that a teenager started using drugs early and it's harder for them to let go of the drugs, it's not because they are bad children. It's because of the effects on the brain development. You just say, you just don't want to stop using drugs. What is the problem? I spent so much money. Calm down. It's not an emotional outburst you need at this time. At this time, what you need to do is find how to make sure you engage them to make sure that change must happen. Because a teenager, most times when I ask questions, someone calls me and says, oh, my child is using drugs. I ask, how long have they been using? What are they using? Those are factors, because how long you have been, if you use this when you're a teenager, it might be more difficult because your brain has now adjusted and is accustomed to the drug use, because the brain has not fully developed as a teenager. So drugs can interfere with the brain development, especially during the teenage years. Drug use can lead to poor decision-making, memory problems, and learning difficulties. Now, the thing about this is the part that the drugs affect is the part that helps you make rational decisions. That's why you will see somebody that will just come and say, oh my God, my toilet was just moved. Who moved my toilet? Who would move your toilet? You will need a plumber. She said, I just got in here. I sat down on that toilet. I used the toilet. I went out. I came back and they moved my toilet. It doesn't make sense to the normal person. So those are the kind of effects. And there's some drugs that actually do that to you. Those are hallucinogens, because drugs are classified into, hallucinogens, stimulants, and depressants. Depressants are the ones that actually just make you mellow. Stimulants are the ones that make you hyper. And then the hallucinogens are the ones that make you hallucinate. You're seeing things where they are not. Sometimes you see some people running, they'll say, oh, somebody's chasing them. Oh, but it's their mind. It's the way the mind has, the brain has, is bringing up all of those pictures in their mind. The next one is mental health impacts. Drug use increases the risk of mental health issues like depression, anxiety, and psychosis. I was almost dealing with psychosis, but for the mercies of God, nobody can convince me. Nobody can convince me. That story is another story altogether. So it can actually mess with your mind like that. I started as a teenager as well. And, for 13 years, so my 20s were a blur. I don't remember quite a lot of things because, what drugs do to your brain is what acid does to your skin or does to your clothes. It actually erodes gray matter. So it's very important that, we do this prevention matters so that people understand what it is that we're dealing with. For young people, everything is cruise. Oh, they just want to have fun. They just want to have fun. But at what expense? What is the long-term effect of this cruise that you're having? So these case studies are real life examples was actually my story I was going to tell. So this is me as a very bright child, very intelligent. I was one of those children that's really did amazing in my schoolwork. I was one of those that did amazing in my schoolwork. I was the child that actually was one of the best students in my state when I wrote exams. And then I got into secondary school, had a bit of my father's academic side and my mother's social side. However, I did not know how to balance it. So by the time I got into school, I lost it. I entered school, one of the best students in Lagos State. By the time I got out, I came out with 4 P's and 4 F's. My life had begun the decline. Not because I wasn't smart, but because other things had taken over and taken effect. So how do you prevent and seek for help? Number one, help them avoid peer pressure. There is a way you can help them avoid peer pressure. You can also seek for help. They're healthy alternatives to cope, because many of the reasons why people do all of these drugs is because they're trying to cope with stress. So you can help them choose healthy ways to cope with this stress, such as sports, hobbies, and talking to someone that they trust. These days, we don't even have hobbies anymore. Nobody has hobbies again because everybody is just, oh, let's just be on social media. Just carry your phone and be there. Back to hobbies, paint, express creative expressions, paint, draw, play badminton, take up a sport, take up cooking, take up anything, reading, writing. Those are healthy ways to cope with stress. Painting. There's what we do in therapy, which is art therapy. Maybe it's a group of people that we take that on. It relieves you of a lot of stress. So what are the hidden struggles that our young people deal with that are related to drug use? It can be very difficult to identify because, everybody wants to look good. And like I say to people all the time, people put their best foot forward when it comes to social media. So you don't even know who's struggling with what. Like today, I was in an event and somebody was saying, you must never look like what you're going through. Now, not looking like what you're going through is a good thing. So when you are going through a lot of stress, it's important that you look for help so that even if you're not looking like it, you are finding the help that you need. Instead of trying to sweep all of this thing under the table, oh, I must not look like what I'm going through, I must not look like, then you're sweeping it under the carpet. You are digging a hole that is going to cover you. So many of these, some of these hidden struggles might accompany drug use because they often manifest subtly. Sometimes that's why there's something called smiling depression. The person is actually depressed, but you just say the person appears like a person is okay, but you can tell. I'm sure many of you here can, how many of you, just put it in the chat room, if you can tell when you look at someone's eyes that behind the smile, you can tell that there's sadness. Just put a 1 in the chat room if this resonates with you. You can tell that somebody is going through something, regardless of how much they try to mask it. If you are there, please just put something in the chat room. Let me be sure that I don't have mental problems. Okay, thank you. Thank you, FACEYOUth. We all know, fantastic. Thank you, Alexander. We all know, you can tell that something is going up in this person, but you may just be trying to put up in front that, oh, everything is good. Fantastic. Number 1, mental health issues. A lot of young people may use drugs to self-medicate underlying mental health issues like depression or anxiety, making it hard to distinguish between the effects of the drug and the underlying condition. I had a client that I was working with, and He had major anxiety. It was crazy. Even me, I was afraid for him. But as we were working together, after a while, I just said, you know what? I have to refer you to a psychiatrist because I need for them to give you medication, a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist. And as soon as he started taking his meds, he got better. But he was already bordering on the line of addiction because he always needed to pop those pills to be able to stay above water. So it's important that we know that mental health issues can cause addiction. That's why they say they are comorbid. They exist side by side. The addiction will be making you have mental issues. The mental issues are making you use drugs. So it's like a vicious circle that keeps going until you decide that, look, I'm going to break one and break out of one. But that's what happens. Then there's increased stress of hiding drug use and dealing with its consequences. It can exacerbate existing mental health struggles. So mental health issues are real. Like we always say, there is no health without mental health. Don't let anybody deceive you that once you are physically well, everything is good. No, I have had mental health issues, anxiety for that matter. I know how badly I felt like I was unseen. I felt like I was in another world. I felt like there was a layer covering me. It is not a good place to be because you're trying to fight out of where you are, but you can't. You just feel like nobody else understands you. There's always this fear every time. It's crazy. Number two, social isolation. There is social isolation and loneliness. Many people start to withdraw from family and friends. A person will pull away from social connections to hide their drug use. Happens a lot. When you hear somebody who just come here and say, I don't know what's going on, but I just noticed that they're always hiding themselves because they don't want anybody to know that they are using drugs. Because I mean, chances are maybe they are in a place, in a position of authority, or they are someone that people look up to. They will now realize that, oh, if people know that this was going on with me, they may judge me, wrongly or judge me unfairly, and then they start to isolate. Another thing is loss of interest in activities. So it's important that empathy is a core value for a lot of us because people are going through a lot, especially now in our world. Whether in Nigeria, whether in the UK, whether in the US, everybody's coming from a lot and going through a lot. So understanding that you need to check on someone. I haven't heard from this girl in 2 days. Let me put a call across. I know someone who almost took their own life, but for somebody that kept calling, the person said her name just came into her heart and she said, oh, let me just call her. And she called her and she didn't pick. She said she was now mindlessly dialing her because she was doing other things, but she just realized that her phone just kept auto dialing that number. So that one on that end just thought, why would this girl give up? I just want to kill myself. When all of a sudden, she just said, let me just pick it and speak to her. And as she spoke to her, I was like, you've been on my mind so strongly. Saying, why, what's going on? So can we just pray? And that was it. She burst into tears. That one asked her, what's going on? So because I haven't seen you in a while, I haven't seen anything about your social media. And she started telling her everything. That one, as in, she didn't even tell her, sorry, that she was on her way to her house. She was still talking to her on the phone and she was driving to her house. When she got there, this girl had arranged, it was a case of, if I take sniper, if he doesn't kill me, I will stab myself. If he doesn't kill me, I have a rope to hang. She put her options there in front of her. When that one got there, she saw everything. Look out for people. Look out for people. It's very important that we look out for people. Another thing you notice is the academic decline. I had a client whose older brother, I don't know what happened to him. He was in a school in the UK and he was doing his final exams. His parents had struggled to pay his fees. I think the last fee was £25,000 or something. I can't remember, but it was such a big deal that he was about to write his project. And guess what? Someone poured water on his laptop and all the things he had done was on that laptop. And he did not know how to go back and he had a deadline. I don't remember how that story really went. But even when they were telling me, I put my hand on my head. And he wanted to go. He walked to the bridge. They walked to a bridge in the UK and he was going to jump because he told himself that, look, I can't. Then he went back home and then he started smoking. One of his friends just told him, oh, why didn't you just take something to make you calm down? And then he started taking drugs. That's how he became a drug user. Meanwhile, he had a deadline. He didn't know what to do. So every time he would think about, oh, I have a deadline, he will now say, hey, God, what will I do? It appeared like a hopeless and helpless case. He will now go back and say, let him take more of the loud that he was taking. Then he will get high. Then it was just a vicious cycle until one day, thank God for a mother who understood that this my child is not my child. This is my child, there's something off. And then she said, what's going on with you? You're a bit off. I know you, according to her, she said she had a dream. However, the boy didn't believe her, but he ended up opening up to his parents. And his mother told him, oh my God, there's no need. You could have called us. We could have done this. We could have done that. Finally, he found a way and it was all sorted. Academic decline. It is something that can happen to anybody. Even the smartest, you can hit a curve in your life. So drug use can lead to a lack of motivation and focus, resulting in declining grades and academic performance. So because of that, even when he got back and he wanted to do his parents paid his fees again, he couldn't stop using the drugs because he had used it for quite a number of time. And then the very thing he was trying to avoid, he actually got into it. He was withdrawn from the school because of the drug use. But his mom didn't even realize. It was much later that they found her, and she was so upset because he could have found help very, very easily. So also skipping school. Some people are skipping school because, they want to avoid being found out. It's something that happens when we go for school outreaches. They will just say, oh, this person, he was in school yesterday. He was not here again. Then you call his parent. No, he left home. He left home and went to school. If you can, dear parents, go and find that movie on Netflix. I hope it's still there. Nimbe, Nimbe. It's a movie on drug use and how the people that do drugs, say hot people. Drug use victims like to get other people high. High people like high people. So the boy stopped going to school and all of that. His parents didn't even know what it was that was going on. And like we know, drug use can affect any human being, whether you're rich, you're poor, it cuts across, has no respect for you as a person whatsoever. Another hidden struggle can be financial stress. To fund drug use, young people start to steal from family members or lie about money, leading to guilt and further isolation. We had this boy that would call everybody for 2,000. So we used to wonder, as in 2,000, you say, Auntie, I need to buy handouts, I need to buy books, and so because 2,000 is not a lot of money, anybody, 2,000 naira, anybody would just send to him and say, take 2K, take 2K. It's okay, take. And by the time he collects 2K from 10 people, that's what, 20,000. And then if he comes again for 2K tomorrow, you won't make it a big deal. None of us are noticing, but one day I said, I don't get what this 2K is about constantly. What are you doing with this money? And then he was very shifty. I knew that something was up. Another thing that is a hidden struggle for them under financial stress is selling belongings. Like I said, they start to sell their gadgets, sell their mobile phones. They start to sell things in the house. All of these things can go unnoticed until the problem becomes severe. My friend's husband, man used to travel within Nigeria. I have permission to share this because she's told me that I can share it at any time I want to. And then because one of the reasons she told me to share it is because she was trying to say, women, shine your eyes. So her husband would travel to interstate for work. He was a contractor, he was making good money. I don't know how he met with some people in the course of this thing, and then they started doing drugs. And then this guy never allowed her work. So she didn't have money of her own. Everything was from him. Everything. Thankfully, she was in good standing with his family. Then he will go for weeks on end, come back, go for weeks on end. But she didn't really notice stuff. One day she was in the house. One day he came back, and then the driver took the car somewhere to drop. So when he was coming back, he now told her to come and pick him at the airport with her car. So she went to pick him. So she was asking, where's your car? Why didn't your driver? He said, don't worry, one of his friends borrowed the car. He had apparently sold his car. The next thing this guy sold was the house. He sold the house. My friend was in the house with her 2 children, pregnant for a third one. And then the new owners of the house came. to come and collect the house. She couldn't even believe it. She almost fainted. How she didn't lose that pregnancy was by the mercies of God. She left the house. They gave them 1 week to pack their things out. Even they gave them 3 months, but she didn't believe it. By the time they came, they said, okay, 1 week. So she had to pack, herself and a few belongings to her mother-in-law's house to go and stay. They couldn't even find the husband. They looked for him, called his phones. His phones were dead. Maybe like 6 months later, the baby was born, everything. He just sauntered into his mother's house, looking like a raving lunatic, madman living on the streets. So they brought him in. That is when it dawned on everybody what had happened. Because when those people came for the house with legal papers, everything, they went to court. The court said, well, is this not his signature? Yes, even his lawyer was part of it. The lawyer said, I know he sold the house, everything, because the lawyer was part of it. So there was no game at all. It's when he came looking like a mad person that even they didn't even recognize him. It was, of course, his mother that looked and said, no, that is my son's voice. That's when they brought him in, and then they now took him to rehabilitation. He's doing better now. That's why we're able to share the story. But he had sold even to the house and sold it with his family inside. That's for you to know that a man that loves his wife and children then sold the house that they were in without telling them that he was selling it for drug use. You will understand the chronic brain relapsing disorder that drug use is. Another hidden struggle is maybe a physical health decline. Sometimes you see some people, maybe they are sickle cell anemic patients, and then they have to deal with pentazocine, for instance. Medical conditions actually cause people to use drugs to become drug users or drug abusers. So there are some injuries that related to drug use, such as bruises from falls or needle marks. They might hide them or explain them away as accidents. I know someone who's a sickle cell anemic patient. If you see her lap, pus, she started to stink, really smell. Nobody understood. We kept wondering, what's the smell? But it was like a human being was rotting, until she called me into a corner. It was in a meeting, small meeting, physical meeting. And she called me into a corner and said, Auntie, let me show you what I'm going through. I almost passed out. So when people are having physical health decline, you can see that they now start to, abuse drugs much more. Drug use often leads to poor eating habits. That's why you see some of them will lose weight, resulting in unnoticed weight loss, fatigue, and other health problems. Those are the hidden struggles that people deal with. Another thing that they deal with is behavioral change. The person may become more secretive, locking their doors, hiding their phones, becoming vague about their whereabouts, all of which might be overlooked as typical teenage behavior. It can actually border around, maybe they're actually just being a teacher. Leave me and my privacy. These days, I'd like you to know, if you're a parent here, that delivery people, as in dispatch riders, bring drugs to your houses too. Yes. You can be at home and they will bring it. They will wrap it up and put it in something you won't even know. You might even be the one to collect the thing from the dispatch rider and take it to your child's room. You don't know that you've just brought drugs into the room. So it's very important that you understand what they're doing, not because we want to invade their privacy, but because we know that there is a need to be alert. And something that is very important is we all have the sixth sense as the parents. You would know that something is off. So I don't want you to now become paranoid and say, oh, you're going to be turning yourself to Inspector Gadget. When they come and say, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Checking everything. There's no need for that. However, the sixth sense that you have would actually point you to something that is off. If you trust your intuition, trust your guts, you will see that something is off. Then you can investigate further. But don't go, accusing them when there is nothing. You must be sure. If you have the guts, make your findings, and then when you're sure, then you can take action. Please. If not, you can lose a child forever if you go accusing them. Another thing you notice is risk-taking behavior. Drug use leads to increasing risk, some unsafe driving. I remember when I was in school in Zaria, and then we had this, Zaria is in Kaduna State. However, from the Kaduna city, from my school, ABU, is about 30 minutes drive. And so we often used to go into Kaduna State for parties, hangouts, and everything. It's as if, that's where the main town is. And so I remember one night we had finished clubbing in town and then in Zaria, and they said, look, let's enter Kaduna, let's go to the club. And that's how all of us jumped into the car. Everybody was high in that car. Every human being was high, including the person driving. Because if not, if you were normal, how will you enter road at 2 a.m. and say you are going clubbing, 30 minutes drive. And meanwhile, in between that Kaduna and Zaria, there is a sharp bend that everybody is careful. In fact, it's written there, be careful in this on this when you're navigating this bend. That journey is a 30 minutes drive. We drove it in 15 minutes and everybody was high inside the car. That was a death wish. And we passed that particular angle. I'll never forget. We passed that angle and the guy was driving, he was driving at 160. When we passed that angle, if he reduced the speed maybe to 120, this is something that you expect that they'll go as slowly as you can. Even when people are going slowly, they have accidents there. So there are risky behaviors that people actually engage in. And it might be seen as rebelliousness, but however, it's a sign of drug use. Emotional turmoil. This is when you will talk about trauma. Trauma is the effect of how do I put this now? Is the response that comes from a stressful event that has happened to you. So when people go through trauma, because they're trying to deal with the pain, they might get into drug use. So when people are going through emotional issues, it's a time to actually just offer them a shoulder and have them get into therapy so that they don't get into drug use to try and deal with it. You might struggle with feelings of guilt or shame about the drug use, which can lead to a cycle of continuous use, continued use to numb these emotions. Another thing that can happen is fear of getting caught. So when people are worrying about being caught by their parents or whoever it is, it can cause significant anxiety and stress, leading to more drug use as a coping mechanism. So emotional turmoil is a very, very broad way to drug use. Another thing that is a hidden struggle is the impact on strained relationships. Drug use can lead to arguments and distrust in relationship with family and friends. We've talked about this earlier. So when people have, you just see that you don't understand what the problem is, but there's just that gap. It's time that you actually understand that something is going on in this place. They may struggle to maintain friendship with their peers who don't use drugs. I mean, even the Bible says, can two walk together unless they agree? There are quotes every day that says that the birds of a feather flock together. Show me 5 of your friends and I'll tell you, you are the 5th of those people. So it's difficult maintaining friends that don't use drugs with you. Another hidden struggle that goes unnoticed can be legal troubles, because it can be masked as typical adolescent behavior explained away by other factors. Legal troubles, in fact, it's just that Nigeria is the way that it is. So sometimes some things are not, we don't have proper data, but I think it's getting better now. If you are living in Europe or you're living in countries that have proper data, legal troubles can drive a person up the wall because you don't even know. Today I heard a story about the person who got a deal. She was going to do a deal and then she now went and loaned money to do the deal. And guess what? The thing fell apart. The investment fell apart. She loaned 10 million naira and at 10%. The person who introduced her to it did her own, got money and even bought the house. So she also wanted to quickly do her own. And then the next thing, the thing collapsed and now she was owing 10 million naira. The first one, it became 11 million, and it was 10% every month. And that's how that thing stretched for 2 years. You can imagine how much money that thing now became. Legal, as in the trouble, she said if her phone is still on silent till now. Meanwhile, that case was sorted maybe 2 years or 3 years ago. She said if your phone rings, it's not her phone, if your phone rings, she would jump, anxiety. At that time, I know for a fact, because of my ears for drug use and all of those things, I know, I kept thinking she was going to say, and then I started using drugs to quieten all of that. Thankfully, she never got there, but this is something that can happen to anybody. When you have legal troubles, you just want to forget that pain. Remember when I said that one of the reasons why people use drugs is to escape. Is to escape realities, is to escape pain. However, when you escape, you're coming back to meet the problem. So you are not even helping yourself. You have even compounded it because now you have an addiction problem added to your legal troubles or whatever troubles it is that you have had. So those are the kind of struggles that people deal with, hidden struggles that our young people deal with that makes them now use drugs. Thank you very much. I've come to the end of this presentation and I can take questions now. Okay, have you guys been hearing me? Because nobody is saying anything. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Chinwe. So I can take questions.
It was really good. Thank you very much. A lot of information that was shared. That was very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chinwe. Thank you. So, okay. Other questions? I can take questions at this time, or even if it's just a contribution or something that you'd like to share.
Thank you so much, Tiger, for that amazing presentation. Sorry, I had a technical issue.
Okay.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you so much. Can we give Tegam a round of applause, please? Thank you so much. Thank you for that amazing presentation. Yeah, thank you, Christiana. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we all had Taga's presentation on hidden struggles, spotting signs of drug use in youth, and how substance use impacts young mind. Her presentation focused basically on subtle indicators of drug use among young people, understanding the effects of substance use on their mental and emotional development. So we're very grateful for you and for the presentation. The presentation also covered both behavioral, physical, and emotional signs. If you join late, you can catch up on the replay, which we are going to post on YouTube later in the week. But if you have any question, get your questions ready. You can either raise your hand to ask a question or drop your question on the chat box. If you're joining us on social media, for those on Facebook, you can also drop your question on the comment box and I will read it out for her. Okay, Blessing, you say you have a question. Can we unmute Blessing to ask her question, please? Alexander Blessing, we can't hear you. Can you unmute her?
You can type your question in the chat group if you're not muted, and then everybody can see that and it can be read out.
Yeah, she can. If she can't talk, exactly, you can drop your question on the chat box. Can everybody hear me okay though? Being strong, I'm having
yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Benisa is calling me.
So while she's trying to speak or typing her questions, I just wanted to speak about something or get your opinion on an issue like we've been facing here in the UK with the recent killings and all of that. Most of it is attributed to mental health illness. So these kids have mental health illness and they go on rampage killing people. And sometimes I sit back and I think about the parents of, the killers. Is there something that they could have spotted earlier in these children to stop them from, from getting to this extent whereby they actually become killers. Like for the recent one that happened, the guy is from one of the African countries. I don't remember right now.
I think it's
But
Rwanda.
yeah, exactly. So I was just like, with the whole African thing, I know that, we struggle to make sure that our children are on the right path. And I was just like, thinking of the parents of this boy and wondering if there's something that they could have spotted earlier. So from your experience, I know you touched on a number of things, weight loss, and you touched on a number of things, but are they some other things that we as parents can look out for in our kids as they're growing up to make sure that those kind of funny behaviors can be spotted earlier and curbed to prevent killings and going out to harm other people?
Okay, yes, that's why I talked about there are different, there are physical signs, behavioral signs, and then there are emotional signs. The honest truth is a lot of parents these days are quite permissive. They are permissive and they are negligent. So even if they see something, because they don't want to offend their children, I've had quite a number of parents that, especially when their child is between 18 and 22, they will be telling me, Ma, please, can you talk to them to come for sessions? I'm like, I can't do that. It's your child. If you want me to persuade your child to come, that's an intervention. You should pay me for it. But they are afraid to tell their children to go for sessions because they have been negligent up until then. You have reached the point where your child is now the boss of the house, where you are the one that is afraid of the child who you are paying their bills. I'm sorry. How did we get here? There is a difference between being an authoritarian parent than being an authoritative parent. An authoritative parent is respectful even if they are firm. But an authoritarian parent is harsh, is aggressive, and all of that. When you're authoritarian, those children eventually rebel. They will one day decide that, I beg, do your worst. What's the worst that will happen? You beat me, break me, whatever it is. However, the best form of parenting is the authoritative one. Some parents are negligent. Some parents are permissive. Everything goes. The children are the ones that set the rules and regulations. So when you see children like that, you will know that, okay, this one is either an absentee parent or the parent is permissive. Because if you are a parent who is involved in your child's life, you will know when things are going off. That's why they tell people, as much as we're sending children to go for all these boot camps and all these things, please just spend some time with them. Because in the course of school, in the course of the school session, they may have picked up one habit or the other that you are not comfortable with, that you will not be comfortable with. If you don't spend some time with them, you won't know what those things are. You won't know. So you must spend time with them to be able to pick the signs. What's different? How does he look? Why is he dressed like this? Why are you dressed like this? What's going on? Which your friends, I want to know your friends. No, I started doing a holiday tips series on my social media page because I wanted parents to be able to know their friends. Know their friends. Your friend is coming, you're going to your friend's house. I want to know the parents. There's nothing wrong with that. Because when your child knows that you want to know the parents of his friend, he will be careful who his friends are. Where you are going to, I want to know, just so that in case anything happens. We must also ask for wisdom to be able to deal with them. Because young people have a way of being, their creative genius comes out in negative ways. They may find negative ways of becoming, very creative about their lives and their whereabouts. But you will also ask for wisdom. Whether you're Muslim, Christian, Hindu, Buddhist, there is a place where you go and ask for wisdom from God or your God to help you tell and understand what is going on. That's why I called it the sixth sense. If everything appears to be okay on the outside, but you still know that if your gut feeling is telling you something is off, please look closer. So you need two things when it comes to situations like this: your God and your guts.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. You really touched on that very well. Thank you.
Yes. Children in primary school are beginning to take drugs. Yes, I went to do an outreach in a school, And I said I wanted to talk to secondary. The principal said, no, start from primary. I said, no, I don't want to do that because I'm a UNODC trained trainer. And one of the things they tell us is don't teach them what drugs are, don't tell them. So I said, I cannot go to primary school because I cannot even do that. They said, just go, just go. When I got there, when I asked them, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, they were telling me about 7-year-olds. They were telling me the street names, Colorado, Ice, Meth. They were calling all the names. I almost fainted. That's why when they say that the drug use for statistics is from 15 to 64, I dare say is untrue because we have as little as 8-year-olds now experimenting with substance. So yes, my question is this: how can we curb the problem of substance use among the youth living in rural communities in Nigeria? We had that conversation. I'm part of the substance use professionals in Nigeria. It's called International Society for Substance Use, ISOP. And so we had a school outreach, not outreach, a school training, training the teachers. And so when we were there, the local community that we went to, we saw it, and God, you don't even understand. I was afraid to be there for long. I kept saying, when is my session over? When is my session over? Because I needed to go for another session. However, I was really afraid and uncomfortable to be there because you could tell that the kind of drugs that they do here is not for the faint heart. It's education still. Go to the community. Talk to the, what they call these people, the community heads. It's a collaboration. Only you cannot do it. That's why those of us that were part of the ISOP, we got involved. We went to the community head and decided to do it. I'm doing another program like that, but this one, I'm not going to community. I'm just teaching teachers and caregivers. I'm just doing that. It's for a fee, of course. I'm teaching them on substance use first aid because we need to know these things. People die of overdose every day. When you know, what do you do next? So it's a collaborative effort. If you have a community of people that you can go there and have education done, get their people involved, their chief, the people, the youth, they know the places where they use. When I advise you, and this is what happens with me, when I'm going, I don't go with only educational materials. That's IEC materials, informative and educational something. I don't go with only those. I always make sure that there is food. You must give them food because you must give them food for them to listen to you. So it's always cost money because you will give them food. You will give the chief something. You have to give the chief something. You have to give the community leader something just so that they are the ones that know the people so that they can bring them. And it's best if you have a story. If you know someone that has a story, that's why it's easier for me because I have a history. So I can tell them and they'll be like, oh my God, if God did it for you, or if you came out, then that means me so I can come out. So you can get someone who can work with you like that. And that can help you. Because when they see a living beacon of hope, it's easier for them to relate. If you just go there and say drugs are bad, they will ask you, you don't smoke before. What will you now say? No, but I know people that have. No. Get someone who can be a beacon of hope for your for that outreach you want to do in that rural community. Please, it's very important. We cannot curb it. Somebody was asking me, one of the ISOP ladies said, we are mopping the floor. We are mopping the floor. We need to turn off the tap. I said, yes, ma'am, we need to turn off the tap. However, the tap is too high for us. So we'll keep mopping the floor.
Because that brings us to the second question. How can the drug seller suppliers be eradicated? Because most of these people are known. But because of the cartel, just like what's happening in Colombia and all those hard drug cases. Yeah. So how do you guys use, like those that used to abuse the substance? So I don't mean by you guys, but the meaning word. Like, how do people get access to it easily?
Their bunks are everywhere. They sell everywhere, even in traffic these days. Sometimes there's a way the person would come. One day I went to use the ATM.
Isn't it illegal? Like they're not scared because they work with the law enforcement as well. Yeah.
That's why we believe sometimes that maybe these people have high people that are funding them. The last outreach I did, when I got there, I've done outreaches there a few times. We just go there, give people things and go. This time, he told me that I must buy some drugs. And I told him, I said, I don't need it. I'm a former, I have an addiction history. You can't give me drugs to buy. He said, that's my business. Like, if I don't buy, I should please leave his bulk. And we ended up buying cocaine, crack, heroin. I bought quite a lot to be able to have access into his bunk. And they were there with their guns. They're not afraid of me. The last time after me, somebody else went there to do an outreach. You should have seen the shootouts. They started shooting out because the person, they now said, because after that, I've not been able to do another outreach because they got angry and said the girl came there to come and, get their people out. And then she brought law enforcement. The law enforcement agents know where they are. I know where they are. How will NDLA say they don't know where they are? So it's not in my place. They have deep pockets. They have very deep pockets. The people that are doing it, those people are just the peddlers. The people that are really, really, that this thing is their business, making good money. Sorry, you can't touch them. It has to come from the top to touch them. For us, our own is prevention. We'll just be telling the people, don't go inside. And then the ones that have gone in and it has burnt them, will not tell them, let me help you get out. If not, they can come after you.
So one of the reasons we started this program was because during COVID, we lost one of our community members to suicide due to drug use. So it was not available. As you know, everywhere was locked down and the parents didn't know that this child was abusing substance. I mean, she wanted to be like anonymous. She's not been able to tell her story and all that, but she was saying that if she had the right information, she would have been able to support her child. She would have staged an intervention. Yeah. So I know in Scotland, now, in order to stop the drug use, I think when they are overdosed, they give them something to help them. So they're now giving people drug, right? So it's another substance to be able to help them not to suffer from overdose. I don't know if it's morally right, but how does that work? Like, is it really important to use another sort of, substance which they can get addicted to stop substance abuse, if you get what I mean? You're mute, Aga.
It's like if you're trying to step down, the effect, because going cold turkey has its effects too, its negative effects. So some people, it can actually cause some kind of brain reactions. So they try to make sure that they give you something that can help you deal with the withdrawal symptoms and the pain and all of that. That is what they do. It's like a harm reduction technique. Some people do it. I'm not a fan of that. So I don't even bother to, know what it is that is going on there. I'm not a fan of that because
I think it's research-based because it's legal, really, in Scotland. And there's also another research, even for people that abuse alcohol. There was one that they were trying to make national. It was on the news that they were giving them, like there's a rehabilitation center in Scotland where they give them more alcohol to be able to, like, I don't know how that works, really, the psychology
for me, it's
behind it, if you can.
Yes, I think it's counterproductive.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to make sure we get you out of dependence. And then you're now giving you something else for you to be dependent upon. It's counterproductive. That's why life skills are important when we're treating people with addiction issues and dependence, because you need to now learn healthy coping skills to be able to get rid of that dependence. You shouldn't be able to be dependent on anything. That's how we found that, okay, instead of the medication, or even while you are giving the medication, you can now learn emotional intelligence. You can learn refusal skills. You can learn, assertive communication. You can learn different things that can help you train your brain to be, less dependent on any substance whatsoever. That's how we came to this point. So it's very important that people know that soft skills can help you. They can help you. If somebody's coming to you to tell you to do drugs, just tell them, teach them refusal skills, teach them self-discipline, teach them resilience. Those are things that you teach to people that it helps you now know that, okay, everybody goes through stuff. So I will find a way to. Social skills and soft skills help a lot. It helps a lot. While you are retraining your brain not to be dependent on the substance, you start to retrain your brain to find coping skills, ways to cope healthily. It's much easier than that, giving them another substance to be dependent on. Because then when they have the cravings to use the drugs, they will now go and take that other drug. I mean, who are we kidding here?
Agree with you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions? I would like you to know that if you have any concerns, we have additional resources on our website to assist you. I mean, if you know anybody going through substance abuse, you can also reach out to us and we'll signpost them to organizations that can help them. We don't do intervention. We do preventative mental health programs, right? Or services. We offer preventative mental health services. I think there's another question. I just got a message. Thank you so much, Tega, for your time. Thank you again for everyone that asked their question. So I would like to reiterate the importance of staying vigilant and maintaining open communication with our children. So for some of us, we build a bridge where you're trying to say something, you're mute, Tega. You're trying to, okay. Yeah, so it's important that we maintain open communication with our children and be supportive and not judgmental. That's the only way to also help them with substance use, with their substance use issues. So I know that together we can help them make healthy and more informed choices. Thank you again for joining us today. If you have any further question or need additional resources, please feel free to reach out to us after this presentation. So we are going to have our music break right now and then come back. But remember, if you're joining us for the first time, we hold this program every third Saturday of the month. So even if you don't see the flyer ahead of time, I know we have low turnout today because we didn't send out the flyer on time due to administrative and logistic reasons. But please just keep the date open on your calendar for every third Saturday of the month. So the next one is going to be on the 21st of September 2024. So mark the date in your calendar and it will be another interesting discussion. Please, William, can you get the music ready for us? Is MJ on?
Cover of Somewhere Only We Know. Beneath my feet.
Sorry, I think it was me. I clicked something I wasn't meant to click. Sorry.
I'm getting tired and I need somewhere to begin. If you have a minute, why don't we go talk about it somewhere only we know? This could be the end of everything, so why don't we go somewhere only we know? Somewhere only we know.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kali, for that. And thank you once more for joining us. I'd like to say a very special thank you to everyone who's participated today. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can send us an email, info@faceyouth.org. And we're constantly looking for volunteers and people to support our program. I hope you can all hear me okay. Yeah, so if you like to volunteer with us, please send me a private message or you email us. We are looking for a coordinator who will pay a small fee to help us coordinate this program, right? So the job entails like looking for speakers, quality speakers, because we need people, subject matter experts to come and speak to our community about different topics. So thank you once more for joining us today. And I would like to say a very special thank you to Tega. It was very short, last minute plan, but she's my girl, always there for us, supporting us. So we're grateful for you and we don't take this access for granted. Please, would you like to speak to us about the program? I was going to share the flyer, but I've been having technical difficulty. If you can just speak to us about the substance abuse first aid that you're organizing sometime in September. I think it's also it's online, right? For a fee, very
Yeah.
small fee. I think it's 10,000 naira, which
Yes.
is about £5. So if you like to join, you let us know. We'll maybe sponsor like 2 or 3 people to the program who can't genuinely afford it, who cannot genuinely afford it. We're not talking about people working. We're also looking for donations. So if you like to support us, you like the program and you like to support us, you can go on our website and donate to support this. We still have the funding running. I think next month will be the last month from the Scottish government through the AGVO, right? Mental health awareness funding for this program. The last batch is going to be next month. So we want more people to join because our funders, some of them join us secretly as well. So we need the numbers to show that the community need this program. So we can't get funding if we cannot prove that this program is actually requested or required by our community and is necessary, right? So we need more people to join this program. We know that we're making an impact because we see your feedback, but we need you to talk to your friends about it. We need people to join. So we see the feedback and we know that the program is very necessary. Yeah. So Tega, over to you. You can unmute yourself and speak to us briefly before we close about the program that you're running.
Okay, so it's a substance use recovery substance use first aid class. It's for guidance counselors in schools, teens, teachers. You have a teen, whether you're a parent, a caregiver, whoever. The reason why I'm doing this is because many people don't have the information that they need, especially when it comes to overdose. And just teaching them how to handle the children, especially if you handle children or you handle teenagers. So it's just the first-hand knowledge that you need. You don't need a certification to be able to handle them first before you now, get them to go to a professional. So it's just basically what it is, first aid.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. So if you are interested, you like to have more information, You can also reach out to me or Tega directly. Her social media is just simple, Tega Omaga, right? Just the same as your name.
Yes, that's what it is. Yes. Just
Yeah,
my
so
name.
you
Any
should
platform, my name.
just follow her on all social media. She shares like very interesting nuggets for parents as well. So I always tell people that it matters who you follow. And with the information overload, it's very important that we follow like subject matter expert, people we know that are trained to handle certain sensitive topics, right? So there are so many information online, but we don't, many of them are unfiltered. So for you to know exactly what you're listening to and who you are getting the right information to, it's important that you follow most of the people that we recommend, because we've done our own research for you. So we know the caliber of people. That's why we don't bring anybody to the program, right? So we do the research, we go through the speakers before we bring them on board. So follow her on all social media platforms, Tega Omoga. Thank you so much once more for joining us, and thank you everybody for your time. Have a good evening. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Tega. Speak to you.
Thank you.